Topic is building families and communities, and we're talking to Reverend RDockery and Mr. Isaac White. Reverend Dockery, before we end this show for today, let's have you and Mr. White to speak to this whole idea of the need that we have, certainly in the state of Tennessee, as well as perhaps throughout the nation, to have some kind of resources for young people who would like to become involved in the skills and the crafts that Mr. White is talking about. Let's do it from that perspective.
Yeah, Dr. Haney, let me start like this. Right now, Metro is in a situation where they're trying to figure out how to deal with discipline issues in the public schools. Education is the process, historically, in America that was developed to empower young people to become productive citizens in the American nation and the culture and the society. And for many of the young people and their families that we're talking about, rather than being empowered, they're being disenfranchised because of the lack of quality education, lack of understanding how to provide that education for them. Discipline has become the thing that is said to be the problem. But discipline represents model and example. And within that family structure, if there's not a model and example, a value for learning, a value for taking advantage of opportunities, then you set yourself up for failure. One of the things that we're talking about in creating a whole model for families is now, specifically with relation to education, is allowing parents to understand their role. See, your primary school is at home first, before you even go out to a public setting, or even to a church. And if you can show parents how to create a school or learning environment at home first, then that could reinforce what they learn in the public school setting. And so one of the things that we're talking about doing is building an institutional training setting where parents can learn their rights and responsibilities, learn how to provide positive behavioral support for their children and encourage that in the school, learn how to deal with health-related issues. For many children go to school with improper hygiene, and they become the source of ridicule. And this leads to the behavioral problem. Many of them go to school without a proper breakfast and nourishment, and that leads to them not being interested and involved, engaged in learning. So there's a whole gamut of things. It doesn't just happen in a vacuum. There are a number of things. So one of the things we're talking about is providing a learning structure and keeping it where education is a 24-hour process. You reinforce what you get in the public school setting by having parents create an environment that is very similar to what they have in that fabricated environment in the public school setting. But most importantly, when those those children at the 18 hours a day in their primary environment, that's reinforced. So that 6 hours that they're getting in the public school setting becomes meaningful then. So what we're talking about is allowing, in addition to the skills, in identifying the learning styles. You know, we find that there's evidence that suggests that African American, in particular males, have a tendency to be very skillful. Not just African American males, but all males. They have a natural agility. But certainly we find those that are locked up, when you get them there, they show some of the best talent.
After they're locked up.
After they're locked up. It's too late then. You know, but so that's the focus, and one of the things that Mr. White and I have been talking about is how we can use skill training as a platform by which we can launch into a number of meaningful opportunities.
I think, Mr. White, one of the things that has been of some concern, not only dealing with skilled work, but also just a whole variety of other opportunities that are not available in a real sense to many African American youth. What do you think that we can do in order to sort of broaden and to make society more aware? See, because unless politicians and all of these other folks who have the money stream, unless they can be made aware of the importance of this, many of them simply think, perhaps don't see this as a major problem.
Well, would you believe this? That a child in a daycare, 2.5 years old, right, was told by the instructor that he would have to leave school They put him out.
2.5 years.
2.5 years old now. He's already got, he's been put out of
discipline problem
daycare.
there too.
He's got a discipline problem already, you know. And then that's young. I mean, it's been around the sun 2.5 times. Now this kid is going to grow up to be a young man, a young adult, and then adult. But the way he's going, I would say, just predicting that he was going to probably end up in a correctional institution. Now, how can we stem this? Okay, you're going to have to, like you say, educate it's something wrong with the family structure that's causing this kid to have a disciplinary problem, right? So we're going to have to deal with the parents, because the parents are young and they got young children. The average grandmother nowadays, I believe, is 38 years old.
38, 39.
Yeah, that's a grandmother. And now, and she still trying.
What you said a long time ago, children raising children.
Right, children raising children.
That,
right.
Are we saying that is still true? That
Absolutely.
very little has changed? You know, we've not talked about it in a real sense, but is that what we're saying?
Essentially, that's what we're saying, that they're becoming younger and younger. And you can't expect to get water out of a turnip.
Right, and there's a difference in the ages here. 75%, I say 75% of the nation now, baby boomers, they're in their 50s, they're over 50 now. Then you got this other group, which is Generation X. Hey, they're kind of lost out there. Now, boomers have, you know, when TV came out, we sit the kids down in front of the television, and then the society said, well, you need 2 paychecks to make a house note. So they went out to work and tried to get things for their children that they didn't have, but they were not there to raise the children. So now we put them into a little institution. We call that daycare and preschool. But it is an institution.
That's right.
Now you letting people, you don't know, I mean, who's teaching your children, you know?
Or what they're teaching.
Or what they're teaching them, right? You might raise a generation of Hitler youth, you know. So you got the hip hop generation out there, and it seems like the visual, they're a visual generation. See, they believe what they see. I come from a generation of hearing, because we had the radio to listen to. You know, I couldn't see the radio, but I can listen to it. So I have vision. The generation behind me are visionary. They got to see, and once what they see, they want. They don't know about postponing gratification. They want it now, and they got to have it now, and that's how they get in trouble, because they don't know that you have to sacrifice in order to get what you want.
I'd just like to add this one thing. 3 of the initiatives that we started since '98. One, we've had a fatherhood home, which was designed to address the father and get the father on their feet in a meaningful way so that they can be a part of the children's life. 2, we developed a charter school model, not for the politics of it, but because we knew that was needed, that include family into the education equation. Then thirdly, the model for the BFC Institute, Building Families and Community Institute, is an institutional setting where families come and learn how to address their issues and to play a role in the education of their children. So those are 3 critical areas that we are looking to develop even further, those programs.
You know, have you thought, over the last minute and a half we have here, have you thought of perhaps taking this organization, this structure, into the metropolitan school system? Because I think it's a problem. Last time we listened, they had a lot of problems with discipline and acceptance.
We'd love to do that. Right. It's a matter of their openness. Right. It's a matter of the school system openness. You know, that's where, you know, unfortunately politics come into play. But in the meantime, children's lives are at stake.
And so you don't think that that there's an attitude of being open? I know that there are some who are.
Sure. Well, we have a history in the last 2 years applying for a charter school where there's been a lack of openness, and that's not to say that there's not room to work and to change some of those attitudes.
Dr. Haney, check this out. In the prison system, they have started letting little animals in where the prisoners can train them how to sit up and all this. Why can't you have the parents who are incarcerated deal with their own children? Bring their children up there and have them talk to them. At least tell them not to follow in the same path, you know. But they, you know, society's kind of messed up.
As a matter of fact, that would probably be the main instruction that parents would give if, you know, if they had an opportunity to talk to their children, and et cetera, and et cetera. But yet and still, that's something that we're not able to do at this particular time. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely.
There's something that is needed.
A dog's life is better than a human's life.
Okay, let me thank the two of you, Reverend Dockery and Mr. White, for coming by and giving us that information about building families and communities. I'm sure that we only scratched the very, very top of this subject, but for the most part, we certainly appreciate you coming by. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.